We've had a look at the finances. When the museum reopened in 2011, it was agreed for a variety of reasons that they would experiment with free admission. The Holburne had always charged an admission charge previously. Since 2011, we've been running a deficit because we have no public funding. We've looked at the various options, and the only effective option we have is to introduce an admission charge for a larger part of the building than we currently charge for, to ensure that we are sustainable for the future.
How much will this be, and when will it be introduced?
So we're reintroducing a charge at the beginning of October, on the 5th of October, when the new exhibition Gainsborough in the theatre opens. The full charge will be £12.50, of which £1.50 is a voluntary donation. We'll be free every Wednesday afternoon, free from 3 every Wednesday, and on the last Friday of each month in the evenings. And we're free for children up to the age of 18, as well as local students. The decision's made actually not easily, but with a certain clarity, because we looked at different options. We looked at the possibility of a more assertive ask for donations at the door, which some museums have tried. It's simply, even if we were far more successful than other museums, it simply wouldn't be enough to cover our deficit. I mean, the key point is the Holburne is an independent museum. We have no public funding, and we are aligning ourselves with all the other independent museums that have no public funding by reintroducing our admission charges, which we had for many, many decades in the past.
We hear a lot about the importance of location, and the Holburne, for all its value and its beauty, is at the wrong end of Great Pulteney Street. Do you not feel that introducing or reintroducing the charge is going to discourage even more people?
I think one of the most important things for us in Bath to remember about the Holburne is that for a large part of its history, but particularly since 2011, it's a national museum. It's a museum of national standing. And to think that it's in the wrong location when it's in the centre of Bath is a very kind of parochial point of view. You know, it's in a much better location than many successful art galleries and museums around Britain. I'm confident that people from Bath and from beyond Bath will continue to be willing to pay a charge to come in. Many people pay £10 to go into one room, paying £12.50 to see the whole of this collection and several rooms of temporary exhibitions is a much better value for money than we're offering at the moment. I think one of the things that's important to remember is that by charging for a larger part of the building, we can be much more adventurous and much more generous in how we use those spaces. So we won't put all our curatorial effort into that one room. You'll be seeing a group of exhibitions at any one time. For example, this season, autumn this year, our major exhibition is Gainsborough in the theatre, but alongside that in November we open a small Rodin exhibition focused around the thinker, one of the greatest sculptors of all time. And in this room, we're going to install David Hockney's Mr. and Mrs. Clark and Percy, once voted the most popular modern British painting by Radio 4 listeners or something. But really importantly, a painting partly inspired by Gainsborough's portraiture. So, we're going to offer much more to the visitors because we've freed ourselves from the constrictions of the current charging model.
Well, you actually preempted my next question, because I read on in the report and the trustees talked about being more energetic and contemporary, modernising the programmes, the look and the tone of the place. That's what you've been charged with doing then?
That is exactly what I said I would do, and they appointed me on the basis of that. So, as you might have seen coming in, we've already started redecorating some of the circulation spaces. The entrance hall and the basement is a new colour. We're talking to artists about ways we might animate those public spaces by introducing some contemporary works. And the programme itself will have more modern and contemporary elements while retaining what's really distinctive about the Holburne, which is a very serious approach to the history of art, in its broadest sense.
What would have been the alternative? Is there an alternative to reintroducing charges?
I don't think there is an alternative to reintroducing charges. As I say, we looked at the possibility of enhanced donations at the entrance. I personally think There's an honesty about charging, whereas there is a certain kind of complexity when you're making it almost impossible for people to avoid making a donation or making it awkward for them. I think that experience of going to those museums where you're directly almost forced to make a donation is uncomfortable to me. So I think there's an honesty about the way we're approaching it, but frankly there isn't an alternative. If we carried on where we were, we wouldn't be doing it for very long.